Hello there, and welcome to Sleepify Science. Tonight, we drift down into the deep, far below the waves, where sunlight fades and silence rules the world. Down here, in the cold and endless dark, life takes on forms stranger and more beautiful than anything we know above. The deep sea is Earth's final frontier, a place of mystery, pressure, and glowing wonder. Creatures here have no need for light. They shimmer in blues and purples, breathe in slow rhythms, and move through currents that have never been touched by human hands. Every heartbeat down here is a quiet miracle. From the tiny plankton that glow like stars to the giant squid that vanishes into shadow, it's a world of calm chaos, ancient and alive. If you enjoy these quiet journeys through science and time, I invite you to like, subscribe, or simply drift with me for a while. So take a deep breath, let your thoughts sink slowly, and together, let's explore the hidden world beneath the waves. Let's begin. The ocean's deepest parts remain more mysterious than outer space, and living down, there are creatures that seem pulled straight from science fiction movies. The giant squid can grow up to 43 feet long, with eyes the size of dinner plates that help them see in the pitch-black darkness thousands of feet below the surface. These massive creatures have 8 arms and 2 longer tentacles covered in powerful suction cups, lined with sharp, tooth-like rings that can tear into their prey. For centuries, sailors told stories about giant squids attacking ships. And while those tales were exaggerated, these animals are indeed powerful hunters of the deep ocean. Scientists rarely see living giant squids because they live so far down in the ocean, between 1,000 and 3,000 feet deep, where the pressure would crush a human instantly. The anglerfish might be the most recognizable deep-sea creature, thanks to its appearance in movies. And the females of this species have a glowing lure dangling in front of their mouths that they use to attract prey in the total darkness. This lure contains millions of bioluminescent bacteria that create an eerie blue-green light, drawing curious fish close enough for the anglerfish to snap them up with its enormous jaws. The really strange thing about anglerfish is how different males and females are, with males being tiny compared to females, and permanently attaching themselves to the female's body by biting into her skin. Once attached, the male fuses with the female, sharing her blood supply and becoming essentially a living sperm bank that she can use whenever she's ready to reproduce. Some female anglerfish have been found with multiple males attached to their bodies at the same time, looking like bizarre parasites hanging off her sides. The vampire squid sounds terrifying, but it's actually only about 6 inches long and completely harmless to humans, getting its spooky name from the dark webbing between its arms that looks like a vampire's cape. When threatened, this little creature turns itself inside out, wrapping its cape-like webbing around its body and exposing rows of fleshy spines that make it look much more dangerous than it really is. The vampire squid lives in the oxygen minimum zone, an area of the ocean with so little oxygen that most other creatures can't survive there, which means it has very few predators to worry about. Instead of hunting for food like most squids, the vampire squid eats marine snow, which is the constant rain of dead plankton, waste, and other organic material that drifts down from the upper ocean layers. It uses sticky filaments to collect this marine snow, and then wipes the filaments through its mouth to eat the collected particles. Goblin sharks look absolutely prehistoric because they've remained virtually unchanged for millions of years, earning them the nickname living fossils. These pink-skinned sharks have elongated, flattened snouts covered in special sensors that detect the electrical fields produced by other animals' muscles and nerves. The most shocking thing about goblin sharks is their jaw, which can shoot forward out of their mouth to grab prey, extending almost to the end of their long snout before snapping back into place. This projectile jaw happens so fast that prey animals don't have time to escape once the goblin shark gets close enough. These sharks typically live between 300 and 4,000 feet deep, though they sometimes come closer to the surface, and they grow up to 12 feet long with soft, flabby bodies that don't need to be muscular since they're ambush predators rather than active hunters. The barrel-eye fish has a completely transparent head that looks like a fighter pilot's canopy, and you can literally see its brain and other organs through the clear dome. Inside this transparent head are two tubular eyes that point upward, constantly scanning the water above for the silhouettes of prey against the faint light filtering down from the surface. For decades, scientists were confused about how this fish could catch food with eyes that only looked up, until they discovered that the barrel eye can actually rotate its eyes forward when it needs to look ahead while eating. The green pigments in their eyes filter out sunlight from the surface and help them spot the bioluminescent glow of their favorite prey, small jellyfish and other gelatinous creatures. These fish live around 2,000 feet deep, where the water is cold and still, and they remain virtually motionless, hovering in place while they watch for food drifting overhead. Dumbo octopuses get their adorable name from the ear-like fins protruding from the sides of their heads that they flap to swim through the water, just like Disney's flying elephant. These are the deepest living octopuses known to science, found at depths of up to 13,000 feet, where the pressure is immense and no light penetrates. Unlike their shallow water cousins, Dumbo octopuses don't have ink sacs because there's no point in releasing a cloud of ink when everything is already pitch black. They hover just above the ocean floor, searching for small worms, crustaceans, and other tiny creatures. And when they find something tasty, they pounce on it and swallow it whole. Female Dumbo octopuses don't have a specific breeding season and can carry eggs at different stages of development, all at the same time, releasing them when conditions seem right. These gentle creatures only grow to about 8 inches long and have soft, gelatinous bodies that help them withstand the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. The fangtooth fish has the largest teeth relative to body size of any fish in the ocean, with fangs so long that it can't fully close its mouth. These teeth are necessary because food is scarce in the deep ocean, and when the fangtooth finds something to eat, it needs to make sure that meal doesn't escape. Special sockets on either side of the fish's brain allow the long teeth to fit when the mouth closes. Otherwise, the fangs would pierce into its own brain. Young fangtooth look completely different from adults, being light gray instead of black, and having long spines on their heads that disappear as they mature. These fish undergo one of the most extreme vertical migrations in the ocean, spending the day at depths of 16,000 feet, but swimming up to shallower waters at night to feed. Despite their horrifying appearance, fangtooth only grow to about 6 inches long, making them much less scary than they look in close-up photographs that don't show the scale. Viperfish are another nightmare-inducing predator with teeth so large that they stick out even when the mouth is closed. And these teeth are so long that they curve back toward the fish's eyes. To accommodate these massive fangs, the viperfish has a hinged skull that can tip back, opening its mouth extremely wide to engulf prey nearly as large as itself. Like many deep sea creatures, viperfish have light-producing organs called photophores running along their sides and belly, which they use to attract prey or possibly to recognize other viperfish. They also have a long dorsal spine with a glowing lure at the end, similar to anglerfish, that they dangle in front of their mouths to bring food within striking distance. Viperfish spend their days in the deep ocean, sometimes as far down as 5,000 feet, but migrate toward the surface at night, following the movement of the deep scattering layer. A massive collection of plankton and small fish that moves up and down daily. The blobfish became an internet sensation for being called the world's ugliest animal. But that famous photo doesn't show what the fish actually looks like in its natural habitat. In the deep ocean where pressures are intense, the blobfish looks like a fairly normal fish with a slightly large head. But when brought to the surface, the rapid pressure change causes its gelatinous flesh to expand and sag into that famous droopy, sad-looking face. This gelatinous body isn't a deformity, but an adaptation, as the blobfish's flesh is slightly less dense than water, allowing it to hover just above the ocean floor without expending energy swimming. The fish simply sits in one spot with its mouth open, waiting for small crustaceans or other edible bits to float by, and then it snaps them up with minimal effort. Blobfish live off the coasts of Australia and New Zealand at depths between 2,000 and 4,000 feet, and they're threatened by deep-sea trawling nets that scoop them up as unwanted bycatch. Female blobfish lay thousands of pink eggs in a nest and guard them carefully until they hatch, showing more parental care than many other deep-sea species. Gulper eels look like swimming garbage bags with tiny eyes and massive mouths that make up almost a quarter of their total body length. That enormous mouth allows them to swallow prey much larger than themselves, which is crucial in the deep ocean where meals are few and far between. The gulper eel's stomach can stretch dramatically to accommodate large prey items, and its body is so elongated and thin that it looks more like a tail with a mouth attached. At the very end of its whip-like tail is a glowing organ that produces pink or red bioluminescence, though scientists aren't completely sure what this tail light is used for. Some think it might be a lure for attracting prey, while others believe it could be used to attract mates or confuse predators. These eels can live as deep as 10,000 feet and grow up to 6 feet long, though most of that length is their thin, ribbon-like body. The Pacific viperfish represents one of the most successful predators in the deep ocean despite being only about a foot long, and it achieves this through a combination of patience and brutal efficiency. Its stomach can expand to twice its normal size, allowing it to eat meals that would be impossible for other fish of similar size. The viperfish's first vertebra right behind its head acts as a shock absorber, preventing injury when it attacks prey with its enormous jaws at high speed. During the day, these fish rest in the deep ocean's darkness, conserving energy until nightfall when they rise toward more productive waters. The photophores along their body can flash in specific patterns that might help viperfish recognize members of their own species in the darkness. Scientists have found that some viperfish can live for up to 40 years, which is remarkably long for such a small fish, and probably relates to the slow metabolism required for survival in the food-poor deep ocean. Hatchetfish get their name from their distinctive body shape that looks exactly like the blade of a hatchet when viewed from the side. These small fish, usually only growing to a few inches, have large, tubular eyes that point upward to spot predators or prey silhouetted against the faint light from above. The underside of their body is covered in photophores that produce a glow matching the dim light filtering down from the surface, effectively making them invisible when viewed from below. This camouflage technique, called counterillumination, is extremely effective because any predator looking up sees the hatchetfish's glow blending perfectly with the background light. Hatchetfish adjust the brightness of their photophores throughout the day to match changing light levels, dimming them as they descend deeper and brightening them when swimming toward the surface. Despite living in the deep ocean, these fish are quite common and exist in large schools, representing one of the most abundant groups of fish in the mesopelagic zone, between 600 and 3,000 feet deep. The cookie-cutter shark might be small, only growing to about 20 inches long, but it's one of the ocean's most unusual predators because instead of killing its prey, it takes round cookie-cutter shaped bites out of animals much larger than itself. This shark has specially adapted lips that work like a suction cup, allowing it to attach to whales, dolphins, large fish, and even submarines. Once attached, the cookie-cutter shark spins its entire body while biting down, using its sharp lower teeth like a whole saw to carve out a circular plug of flesh before releasing and swimming away. The wounds these sharks leave behind are distinctive and have been found on everything from great white sharks to nuclear submarines, where they've damaged rubber sonar domes. Cookie-cutter sharks are covered in photophores that make them glow in the darkness, except for a dark collar around their neck that some scientists think might look like a small fish when viewed from below, attracting larger predators that the shark can then bite. They live in tropical and subtropical waters around the world and migrate vertically, spending days at depths of up to 12,000 feet before rising to shallower waters at night. Bigfin squids are among the strangest cephalopods ever discovered, though scientists have never caught one and have only seen them through deep-sea cameras and submersibles. These creatures have extremely long, thin arms and tentacles that can extend over 26 feet below their body, trailing behind them like bizarre spider legs as they drift through the water. The tentacles are held in an unusual elbowed position and appear to drag along the ocean floor, possibly searching for food in the sediment. Scientists aren't even sure if bigfin squids actively swim, or if they just drift with ocean currents, while their long tentacles sample the environment below. Every bigfin squid observed has been found at depths greater than 3,000 feet, making them difficult to study. And many of the sightings have been of different developmental stages, or possibly even different species, that all share this strange, long tentacle body plan. The way these squids hold their arms is completely different from all other known squids, suggesting they've evolved a unique lifestyle adapted to the deep ocean environment. Frilled sharks look so primitive that they're often called living fossils, with an eel-like body and frilly gill slits that give them their common name. These sharks have around 300 teeth, each with 3 sharp points, arranged in 25 rows that point backward to prevent prey from escaping once caught. The frilled shark's jaw is loosely attached and can swing open extremely wide, allowing it to swallow prey nearly half its own body length in a single gulp. These sharks grow up to 6 feet long and live at depths between 400 and 4,000 feet, though they occasionally venture into shallower water. Female frilled sharks have the longest pregnancy of any vertebrate animal, carrying their young for up to 3.5 years before giving birth to live pups. They primarily eat squid, but will also consume other sharks and fish, and their flexible body allows them to strike at prey with a snake-like lunge that's unusual for sharks. The pelican eel has a mouth so absurdly large compared to its body that it looks like a cartoon character, with jaws that open like a pelican's pouch to create a massive scoop. This enormous mouth is hinged and can open wide enough to engulf prey much larger than the eel itself, though studies of stomach contents show they mostly eat small crustaceans rather than large fish. The pelican eel's body tapers to a very long, thin tail that can be several times longer than the head and trunk combined, ending in a complex glowing organ. This bioluminescent tail tip produces pink or red light, and might be used as a lure waved around to attract curious prey toward the eel's enormous mouth. These eels live between 3,000 and 26,000 feet deep, making them among the deepest living eels known. They have tiny eyes and probably rely more on detecting vibrations and chemical signals than vision to find food in the eternal darkness of their habitat. Chimeras, also called ghost sharks or ratfish, aren't actually sharks, but are closely related cousins that split from the shark family tree about 400 million years ago. These fish have a venomous spine in front of their dorsal fin that can deliver a painful sting to anything that threatens them. Male chimeras have a retractable sexual organ on their forehead called a frontal tenaculum that they use to grasp females during mating, which is one of the weirdest reproductive structures in the animal kingdom. Most chimera species live in deep water, some going down to 8,000 feet, and they use their large pectoral fins to glide gracefully through the water like underwater birds. Their skin has no scales, but is smooth and sometimes covered in mucus, and many species are silver or dark brown in color. Chimeras have crushing tooth plates instead of regular teeth, which they use to grind up the hard shells of mollusks and crustaceans they find on the ocean floor. The stoplight lucijaw is a deep-sea fish with a lower jaw that isn't connected to its skull by tissue, allowing it to open its mouth extremely wide without creating drag while swimming. This fish produces red bioluminescence, which is extremely unusual because most deep-sea creatures can't see red light, making the stoplight lucijaw essentially invisible to both prey and predators. The fish uses this red searchlight to illuminate potential prey without alerting them to danger, like having night vision goggles in a world where everyone else is blind to that color. The lucijaw's eyes are specially adapted to detect this red light, giving it a huge advantage when hunting. These fish only grow to about 6 inches long, but are fierce predators that can swallow prey half their own size, thanks to their expandable jaws and stomachs. They live at depths between 300 and 13,000 feet and have a worldwide distribution in tropical and temperate oceans. Sperm whales are the largest toothed predators on Earth and dive deeper than any other mammal, regularly reaching depths of over 6,000 feet while hunting for giant squid and other deep-sea creatures. These massive whales can hold their breath for up to 90 minutes during their deep dives, and their bodies have special adaptations that prevent them from getting the bends when they return to the surface. The sperm whale's huge head makes up about 1/3 of its total body length and contains a waxy substance called spermaceti that might help with buoyancy control during deep dives. Scientists have found giant squid beaks in sperm whale stomachs, and many sperm whales have circular scars on their skin from battles with giant squids that fought back with their sucker-covered tentacles. Male sperm whales can grow up to 60 feet long and weigh 45 tons, making them some of the largest animals in the ocean. They use echolocation to navigate and hunt in the pitch-black deep ocean, producing the loudest sounds made by any animal, with clicks reaching up to 230 decibels. The giant isopod looks like a pill bug that's been exposed to radiation in a monster movie, growing up to 16 inches long and weighing over 3 pounds. These enormous crustaceans are scavengers that roam the deep ocean floor searching for dead whales, fish, and squid that have sunk down from the surface. Giant isopods can survive for years without eating, with one individual in captivity going 5 years without consuming any food before eventually dying. Their ability to withstand starvation comes from having an extremely slow metabolism, which is common among deep-sea creatures living in food-poor environments. When they do find food, giant isopods eat voraciously, sometimes consuming so much that they can barely move afterward. They have compound eyes with over 3,000 individual lenses, providing excellent vision in the dim deep-sea environment, where any hint of light from bioluminescence might signal a meal. These creatures live at depths between 500 and 7,000 feet and are found in cold waters throughout the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans. The coffinfish gets its morbid name from its box-like appearance and is a type of sea toad covered in small spines that make it look like an angry underwater cactus. These fish are ambush predators that spend most of their time sitting motionless on the ocean floor, occasionally using their modified pectoral fins to crawl around in search of better hunting spots. Like anglerfish, coffin fish have a lure on their head that they use to attract prey, though theirs is much smaller and less elaborate. The lure sits in a small cavity between their eyes and can be retracted when not in use, protecting it from damage. Coffinfish have extremely loose, fleshy skin that makes them look inflated, and this skin is covered in small prickles rather than typical fish scales. They grow to about 8 inches long and live at depths between 300 and 9,000 feet. When brought to the surface, the rapid pressure change causes their loose skin to expand even more, making them look like angry, spiky balloons. Dragonfish are fierce predators despite being only about 6 inches long, with a mouth full of transparent, needle-like teeth that are impossible for prey to see until it's too late. These teeth are made of an unusual transparent material that doesn't reflect light, making them essentially invisible in the water. Dragonfish have a long barbel hanging from their chin that glows with bioluminescence, acting as a fishing lure to attract curious prey within striking distance. Some species can produce and see red light, just like the stoplight lucijaw, giving them a secret communication channel and hunting advantage. The photophores along their body can create complex light patterns that might be used for species recognition or to confuse predators. Female dragonfish grow much larger than males, sometimes 10 times heavier, and the males of some species are so different looking that scientists initially thought they were separate species. These fish live at depths between 500 and 5,000 feet, and and undergo daily vertical migrations, following the movement of prey species toward the surface at night. The snailfish holds the record for the deepest living fish ever recorded, with one species found at a mind-boggling depth of 27,000 feet in the Mariana Trench. At these extreme depths, the pressure is over 1,000 times greater than at the surface, enough to crush most organisms instantly. But snailfish have special proteins and cellular structures that function normally under these conditions. These fish look like tadpoles with their large heads, tapered bodies, and wing-like pectoral fins that they use to glide just above the seafloor. Despite living in one of Earth's harshest environments, snailfish are quite abundant and eat small crustaceans and other tiny creatures they find among the rocks and sediment. They have transparent, gelatinous skin and no scales, with soft, flexible bones that help them withstand the pressure. The deepest snailfish species are small, only growing to about 4 inches, but shallow water relatives can reach over 2 feet in length. Scientists are amazed that any fish can survive at such depths and are studying these remarkable creatures to understand the absolute limits of where vertebrate life can exist. Attala jellyfish are beautiful, deep-sea dwellers with a distinctive circular shape and a single long tentacle that dangles below like an anchor. When attacked by a predator, these jellyfish create a spectacular bioluminescent display called a burglar alarm, flashing bright blue lights in a spinning pinwheel pattern. This light show is thought to attract even larger predators to the area, with the jellyfish essentially calling for help by trying to make its attacker become someone else's meal. The Attala jellyfish's burglar alarm has been observed attracting other animals from far away, proving that this defense strategy actually works. These jellyfish live at depths between 2,000 and 13,000 feet and are found in oceans worldwide. They grow up to 7 inches across and drift through the water column, using their single long tentacle to trap small crustaceans and fish larvae. Unlike many jellyfish that pulse to swim, Attala jellyfish are relatively passive and mostly drift with currents, while their tentacle trails behind like a fishing line. The megamouth shark is one of the rarest sharks in the world, with fewer than 300 sightings since its discovery in 1976, when one accidentally got tangled in a U.S. Navy ship's sea anchor. These enormous sharks can grow over 18 feet long and weigh up to 3,000 pounds. Yet they're filter feeders that eat tiny plankton and jellyfish. The megamouth gets its name from its massive mouth, which is lined with small teeth and silvery tissue that might reflect bioluminescence to attract plankton. These sharks follow the daily vertical migration of the deep scattering layer, spending their days at depths around 500 feet and rising to about 50 feet below the surface at night to feed. They swim with their huge mouths open, filtering water through their gills and trapping plankton on specialized structures called gill rakers. Despite their size, megamouth sharks are gentle and pose no threat to humans, though very few people have ever seen one alive. Scientists know very little about their reproduction, behavior, or population size because encounters are so rare. Sea spiders aren't actually spiders, but belong to a group called pycnogonids that are distantly related to spiders, scorpions, and horseshoe crabs. Deep-sea species can have leg spans over 2 feet across, making them look like something from an alien world as they stalk across the ocean floor on their impossibly long, thin legs. These creatures have such small bodies that their digestive system extends into their legs because there isn't enough room in their tiny torso. Sea spiders feed by plunging their proboscis into soft-bodied animals like sea anemones, corals, and sponges, then sucking out the juices like grotesque underwater vampires. They move in slow motion across the seafloor, taking deliberate steps with their 8, or sometimes 10, or even 12 legs. Male sea spiders carry the eggs on special leg segments after the female lays them, protecting the developing young until they hatch. These creatures have been found at all ocean depths, including the deepest trenches, and they've existed for over 500 million years, with very little change to their basic body plan. Six-gill sharks are primitive sharks that have 6 gill slits instead of the 5 found in most modern shark species, and they're found in deep water around the world. These large sharks can grow over 16 feet long and weigh over a ton, making them formidable predators of the deep ocean. Unlike most sharks that are built for speed, six-gill sharks have heavy, powerful bodies designed for strength and endurance during long, deep dives. They hunt at depths between 600 and 6,000 feet during the day, but rise toward the surface at night to feed in more productive waters. Six-gill sharks have large, green eyes adapted for seeing in low light, and they can detect the faint bioluminescence produced by many deep-sea creatures. These sharks are ancient relatives of modern sharks, with fossils showing that similar species existed over 200 million years ago. They eat a wide variety of prey, including fish, squid, other sharks, and even marine mammals like seals. Female six-gill sharks give birth to large litters of up to 100 pups after a pregnancy lasting about 2 years, with the young born in shallower water before moving to the depths as they mature. The ping-pong tree sponge looks exactly like its name suggests, with a trunk-like stem that branches into paddle-shaped structures resembling a tiny underwater tree. This sponge was only discovered in 2004 during deep-sea surveys off the coast of Washington, and scientists initially thought it might be a plant because of its tree-like appearance. The sponge's ping-pong paddle structures are covered in small spikes and are thought to increase surface area for catching food particles floating by in ocean currents. Like all sponges, the ping-pong tree sponge is an animal that filters water through its body, extracting tiny bits of organic matter and bacteria for food. These sponges live at depths around 9,000 feet, where they anchor themselves to rocks and other hard surfaces on the seafloor. They grow extremely slowly, possibly taking decades or even centuries to reach their full size of about 2 feet tall. Deep-sea sponges like this are important habitats for other creatures, providing shelter and breeding grounds for fish, crabs, and other marine life in the otherwise barren deep ocean. Telescope fish have enormous, forward-facing tubular eyes that make up most of their head, giving them incredible vision in the near-total darkness of the deep ocean. These eyes are extremely sensitive to light and can probably detect the faint bioluminescence produced by prey animals from a considerable distance. Unlike the barrel-eye fish whose eyes point upward, telescope fish eyes look straight ahead, suggesting they hunt by actively pursuing prey rather than waiting for it to pass overhead. These fish have large mouths with small teeth and can open their jaws very wide to swallow prey almost as large as themselves. Telescope fish grow to about 7 inches long and have dark brown or black bodies that help them remain invisible in the darkness. They live at depths between 1,500 and 5,000 feet and are found in tropical and temperate oceans worldwide. Despite their large eyes, scientists believe these fish rely heavily on their lateral line system, a series of sensors running along their sides that detect water movements and help them locate prey in the darkness. The zombie worm, scientifically known as Ostax, is one of the strangest deep-sea creatures because it has no mouth, no stomach, and no gut. Instead, these worms burrow into the bones of dead whales that have sunk to the ocean floor, and bacteria living inside their bodies break down the bone and provide nutrients. The worm absorbs these nutrients directly through its body tissues, completely bypassing the need for a digestive system. Female zombie worms look like pink or red flowers growing from whale bones, with colorful plumes that wave in the water to absorb oxygen. Males are microscopic and live inside the female's tubes, with a single female sometimes hosting over 100 tiny males in her body. These worms play a crucial role in deep-sea ecosystems by recycling nutrients from whale falls, massive food sources that can support entire communities of specialized animals for decades. Scientists have found over 25 species of zombie worms, and they can completely consume the bones of a whale skeleton in just a few years. The worm's bone-dissolving bacteria are so efficient that they can break down minerals that are extremely difficult to digest, making zombie worms some of the only animals capable of eating solid bone. Grenadier fish, also called rattles, are one of the most abundant and successful groups of deep-sea fish, with over 400 species found throughout the world's oceans. These fish get their common name from their large heads and bodies that taper to a thin, rat-like tail, and they're often the most common fish seen in deep-sea camera surveys. Grenadiers have large eyes and sensory pores on their heads that help them find food on the dark ocean floor, and they eat everything from small crustaceans to dead fish that sink from above. Some species can produce sound using special muscles attached to their swim bladder, creating rumbling or drumming noises that might be used for communication. These fish live at depths ranging from 600 feet to over 23,000 feet, with different species specializing in different depth zones. Grenadiers grow quite large, with some species reaching over 3 feet long, and they're an important food source for deep diving predators like sperm whales and elephant seals. The largest populations of grenadiers are found along continental slopes, where nutrients from shallower waters support higher densities of deep-sea life. The Greenland shark is the longest living vertebrate animal known to science, with some individuals estimated to be over 400 years old based on radiocarbon dating of their eye lenses. These massive sharks grow very slowly, only about half an inch per year, and don't reach sexual maturity until they're around 150 years old. Greenland sharks live in the cold, deep waters of the North Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, typically at depths between 600 and 7,000 feet, where temperatures hover just above freezing. Despite being large predators that can grow over 20 feet long, these sharks are very slow swimmers and are thought to be primarily scavengers, eating dead whales, seals, and fish that sink to the ocean floor. However, scientists have found seals in their stomachs that appear to have been caught alive, suggesting these sluggish sharks might ambush sleeping seals or use some other hunting strategy we don't yet understand. Almost every Greenland shark has a parasitic copepod attached to at least one of its eyes, a pale creature that hangs from the eye and might cause partial blindness, though the sharks don't seem bothered by these passengers. Their meat is toxic to humans because it contains high levels of trimethylamine oxide, a compound that breaks down into a substance similar to antifreeze and must be carefully processed before it can be safely eaten. Siphonophores are not single animals, but colonies of thousands of individual organisms called zooids that work together as one functioning unit, with some of the colonies growing over 100 feet long. Each zooid in the colony has a specialized job, with some responsible for swimming, others for catching prey, some for digestion, and others for reproduction. Much like organs in a regular animal's body, the Portuguese man-o'-war is probably the most famous siphonophore, though it lives near the surface rather than in deep water. But its deep-sea relatives are even more spectacular. Deep-sea siphonophores form long chains that drift through the water column like living curtains, trailing stinging tentacles that can extend over 100 feet to trap prey. The tentacles are covered in thousands of microscopic harpoons called nematocysts that inject venom into anything they touch, paralyzing small fish and crustaceans instantly. Some species create beautiful spiral patterns as they swim, looking like living necklaces adorned with bioluminescent jewels. These colonies are extremely fragile and are usually destroyed when brought to the surface, so most of what scientists know about them comes from observations made by deep-sea submersibles and robots. Tripod fish have evolved one of the strangest survival strategies in the deep ocean, using 3 elongated fin rays like stilts to stand on the muddy seafloor. These fish face into the current and remain perfectly still for hours or even days, with their pectoral fins extended upward to detect vibrations from prey swimming by overhead. When the fish senses something edible, it quickly snaps at the water, catching small crustaceans and other creatures that drift past. The tripod position raises the fish several feet above the seafloor, allowing it to access faster-moving water currents that carry more food particles than the sluggish water right at the bottom. These fish can grow up to 15 inches long and are found at depths between 3,000 and 20,000 feet. Tripod fish are hermaphrodites with functioning male and female reproductive organs, which makes sense in the deep ocean where finding a mate is incredibly difficult. When 2 tripod fish do meet, they can both fertilize each other's eggs, doubling the reproductive output of the encounter. Their eyes are small and probably not very useful in the total darkness, so they rely heavily on their extended fins to detect prey through touch and water movements. The pigbutt worm is a tiny deep-sea creature that's actually neither a worm nor related to pigs, but it earned this undignified name because it looks exactly like a tiny, transparent pig's rear end floating in the water. Scientists discovered this odd animal during surveys near California and realized it's actually a type of sea cucumber that's evolved to drift in midwater rather than crawling on the seafloor like its relatives. The worm's inflated, balloon-like body is only about half an inch across and appears to be mostly empty space, with its internal organs pushed to one side. The creature's mouth and feeding tentacles are at one end, though in photos they look exactly like something that should be at the opposite end of an animal. Scientists aren't sure exactly how the pigbutt worm feeds, but they think it might collect organic particles from the water with its tentacles. These creatures have only been found at depths around 9,000 feet and are so rare that very little is known about their behavior, reproduction, or ecological role. Black swallowers are small fish with an astonishing ability to eat prey much larger than themselves, sometimes swallowing fish over twice their own length and 10 times their weight. This is possible because the fish has an expandable stomach that can stretch to enormous proportions and a jaw that can unhinge to open incredibly wide. After swallowing such a large meal, the black swallower's belly becomes so distended that it looks like it has a giant balloon attached to its body. Sometimes the fish swallows prey so large that it dies before it can digest the meal, and the decomposing prey produces gases that cause the dead fish to float to the surface where scientists find them. Black swallowers live at depths between 2,000 and 9,000 feet and only grow to about 10 inches long, though their expandable bodies can accommodate prey 3 times that length. These fish have small eyes and probably hunt primarily using their sense of smell and the ability to detect water vibrations, striking quickly when prey comes within range. Their teeth angle backward to prevent captured prey from escaping once grabbed, and the fish works its jaws forward bit by bit to gradually swallow meals that seem impossibly large. The ability to eat such enormous prey is crucial in the deep ocean where food is scarce, and a fish might go weeks or months between meals, making it essential to take advantage of every feeding opportunity, no matter how large the prey. Dumbo squids are completely different from Dumbo octopuses, despite the similar name, and they're actually tiny squids, only growing to about 2 inches long. These little squids have fins that look like elephant ears, hence the Dumbo name, and they live in the twilight zone between 200 and 3,000 feet deep. Dumbo squids are among the smallest squids in the ocean, but they're fierce predators for their size, hunting tiny crustaceans and other miniature creatures. They have proportionally large eyes that help them spot prey in the dim light, and their bodies are often transparent or translucent, providing camouflage in the open water. Like many deep-sea creatures, Dumbo squids can produce bioluminescence, creating light shows that might confuse predators or attract prey. Female Dumbo squids carry their eggs until they're ready to hatch, which is unusual for squids since most species simply release their eggs into the water. These tiny cephalopods are actually quite common, but are rarely seen because of their small size and deep habitat. And most of what scientists know about them comes from specimens caught in research nets. The hyphen lizardfish sits on the ocean floor, looking exactly like a piece of rock or coral, waiting for unsuspecting prey to swim close enough to ambush. These fish can remain motionless for hours, their camouflaged bodies blending perfectly with the surrounding environment, while their large mouths stay ready to snap open in an instant. Hyphen lizardfish have a large sail-like dorsal fin that they can raise or lower, possibly using it for communication with other lizardfish, or to make themselves look larger when threatened. They grow up to about 20 inches long and have large heads with powerful jaws filled with sharp teeth pointing backward. These fish are found at depths between 3,000 and 12,000 feet on the slopes of underwater mountains and ridges. They're sit-and-wait predators that expend very little energy between meals, an important adaptation in the food-poor deep ocean, where active hunting would burn more calories than it provides. When prey does appear, the lizardfish explodes upward with surprising speed, grabbing the victim and swallowing it whole before settling back down to wait for the next meal. Cusk eels are not true eels, but fish that look eel-like because of their long, tapering bodies and the way their dorsal, tail, and anal fins merge into one continuous fin running along their back, around their tail, and under their belly. Some species of cusk eels hold depth records for fish, being found at depths over 27,000 feet in ocean trenches. These fish have sensory organs on their heads and chins that help them find food in the darkness, and they root around in the muddy seafloor, searching for worms, crustaceans, and other small creatures. Cusk eels can range from just a few inches to over 6 feet long, depending on the species, with deep-sea varieties tending to be smaller than their shallow water relatives. Many cusk eel species can produce sounds using their swim bladder, creating grunts, clicks, and other noises that might be used for communication or to startle predators. These fish are found in all oceans and at all depths, from coastal shallows to the deepest trenches, making them one of the most successful groups of fish in terms of depth range and distribution. Glass squids have almost completely transparent bodies that make them virtually invisible in the water, with only their eyes and a few internal organs visible as dark spots. This transparency is an excellent camouflage strategy in the twilight zone, where there's just enough light that colored bodies would cast shadows and attract predators. Some glass squid species have eyes on short stalks that stick out from their heads, giving them a bizarre alien appearance. These squids range in size from less than an inch to over 10 feet long, depending on the species, with the larger varieties being some of the most common prey for sperm whales. Glass squids have photophores on their bodies that they can control to create different light patterns, possibly for communication or to confuse predators with sudden flashes of light. Unlike many squids that are active hunters, some glass squids are ambush predators that drift motionlessly through the water, waiting for prey to swim past their tentacles. Young glass squids often look completely different from adults, being more opaque and having different body proportions, which initially led scientists to classify juveniles and adults as separate species. Chimera fish have a unique jaw structure that's fused to their skull, unlike sharks, whose jaws are only attached by ligaments and muscles. This solid jaw connection gives chimeras a powerful crushing bite that they use to crack open the shells of clams, snails, and crustaceans. The males of most chimera species have a retractable club-like organ on their forehead called a frontal tenaculum that's covered in small spines, and they use this to grip females during mating. Some deep-sea chimera species also have a long, whip-like tail filament that can be longer than their entire body, though scientists aren't sure what purpose this serves. These fish have been around for over 400 million years and have changed very little over that time, suggesting they've found a successful survival strategy. Chimeras lay eggs in protective cases that they attach to rocks or corals on the seafloor, with the embryos developing slowly over many months before hatching. They're found at depths from the shallows down to 9,000 feet, with most species preferring cold, deep water, where they swim slowly along the bottom, searching for food. The barrel-eye fish's transparent head also protects its delicate tubular eyes from the stinging tentacles of siphonophores, which are its main prey. These fish actually steal food that siphonophores have already caught in their tentacles, swimming carefully through the dangerous curtain of stingers to pluck away trapped transparent shield around the barrelie's head allows it to see the siphonophore and its prey while staying protected from the stinging cells. Once the fish has stolen its meal, it rotates its eyes forward to see where it's going as it swims away. Barrelie fish only grow to about 6 inches long and have small mouths suitable for eating the small jellies and crustaceans they steal from siphonophores. Their bodies are mostly dark except for the transparent dome, which might provide camouflage by making it harder for predators to see the full outline of the fish. The discovery that barrelie fish could rotate their eyes was made only in 2004, solving a mystery that had puzzled scientists since the fish was first discovered over 70 years earlier. Pram bug amphipods are not bugs at all, but relatives of shrimp that carry their eggs and young in a specialized pouch under their body that looks like a baby carriage, hence the name pram bug. Deep-sea amphipods are important scavengers that quickly locate and consume dead animals that sink to the ocean floor, with some species able to smell a whale carcass from miles away. These creatures can range from less than an inch to over a foot long, with giant deep-sea species looking like grotesque orange or white shrimp on steroids. Amphipods are incredibly abundant in the deep ocean, sometimes arriving at food falls in swarms of thousands, and they can strip a dead fish down to bones in just a few hours. They have powerful legs for walking and swimming, and many species can jump surprisingly high for their size. Deep-sea amphipods have been found in the deepest ocean, trenches at depths over 35,000 feet, making them among the deepest living animals on Earth. Some species are specialized predators with large cutting claws, while others are filter feeders or parasites that attach to other deep-sea creatures. The oarfish is the longest bony fish in the world, with some individuals reaching over 50 feet in length, though they're very thin and ribbon-like rather than bulky. These spectacular fish have a bright red crest running the length of their body and long, ribbon-like pelvic fins that trail behind them as they swim vertically through the water with their heads up. Oarfish are found at depths between 700 and 3,000 feet and rarely come to the surface. But when they do, they've inspired sea serpent legends throughout history. These fish eat small crustaceans, jellyfish, and other drifting prey that they filter from the water, using their protrusible jaws to suck in food items. Oarfish have no scales, but are covered in a silvery coating called guanine that gives them a mirror-like appearance, and their bodies are so fragile that they're rarely caught intact. When swimming, the oarfish undulates its extremely long dorsal fin in a wave-like motion while keeping its body relatively straight, creating a mesmerizing swimming style unlike any other fish. Very little is known about their reproduction, behavior, or population size because living specimens are so rarely encountered. Fangtooth fish larvae look nothing like the adults and actually go through such dramatic changes as they grow that scientists initially thought they were different species. Young fangtooth are light silver with long spines on their heads and spend their time near the ocean surface, while adults are black with enormous teeth and live in the deep ocean. This drastic transformation happens gradually as the juvenile sinks deeper, with the spines retracting and the coloration darkening until it reaches its adult form. The fangtooth's tiny eyes are among the smallest of any fish relative to body size. But this isn't a problem because there's no light in the depths where they live anyway. These fish have been found with their stomachs full of lanternfish, small bioluminescent fish that migrate between deep and shallow water, suggesting fangtooth time their hunting to intercept these migrations. Despite their terrifying appearance, fangtooth are harmless to humans and are only about 6 inches long, making them more creepy than dangerous. The pressure at the depths where fangtooth live would instantly crush an unprotected human. But these fish are perfectly adapted with flexible bones and no air-filled swim bladder that would be compressed by the extreme pressure. Sea pigs are actually a type of sea cucumber that looks like a bloated pink pig with multiple legs. And they're among the most common creatures in some deep ocean regions. These animals crawl across the muddy seafloor on their tube feet, which look like inflated legs, while using specialized feeding tentacles to shovel sediment into their mouths. Sea pigs extract any organic matter from the mud, digesting bacteria, tiny animals, and bits of marine snow, while excreting the cleaned sediment behind them. They often travel in herds of hundreds or thousands of individuals, all moving in the same direction, possibly following chemical trails to food sources. Sea pigs have an excellent sense of smell that helps them locate areas where food has recently fallen to the seafloor, like dead jellyfish or whale blubber. These creatures can inflate or deflate their legs by pumping fluid in and out, allowing them to walk at different heights above the seafloor, or even to stand on their hind legs while feeding. Sea pigs are found at depths between 4,000 and 16,000 feet and grow to about 6 inches long, and they play an important role in recycling nutrients in deep-sea ecosystems. The Pacific black dragon is a frightening predator with a long, snake-like body covered in hexagonal scales that look like black armor plating. Female black dragons grow up to 2 feet long and have hinged jaws that open wide enough to swallow prey half their size, along with sharp, fang-like teeth and a long barbel under their chin, tipped with a glowing lure. Male black dragons are completely different, being tiny brown fish, only a few inches long with no teeth, no chin barbel, and no functioning stomach, living only long enough to find a female and mate before dying. This extreme difference between sexes is called sexual dimorphism, and it's taken to an extreme in black dragons, where males and females look like completely different species. The females are effective hunters that can produce red bioluminescence like the stoplight lucijaw, allowing them to illuminate prey without being detected. Young black dragons start life near the ocean surface and gradually move deeper as they mature, eventually settling at depths between 1,000 and 6,000 feet. These fish can sense even the slightest water movements with their lateral line system, allowing them to detect prey in complete darkness. Squat lobsters aren't really lobsters, but are more closely related to hermit crabs, and deep-sea species often live around hydrothermal vents, where superheated water rich in minerals shoots up from the seafloor. These creatures have flattened bodies and long claws that they use to scrape bacteria off rocks or catch small animals drifting by in the current. Vent-dwelling squat lobsters live in one of the most extreme environments on Earth, where water temperatures can swing from near freezing to over 700 degrees Fahrenheit within inches. They cluster in massive groups around the vents, sometimes thousands of individuals packed so tightly that they cover every available surface. These squat lobsters have bacteria living in special gill chambers that may help them detoxify the poisonous chemicals found in vent water. Some species are blind because eyes are useless in the pitch-black vent environment, while others have functional eyes that might detect the faint glow of hot water. Squat lobsters around vents grow slowly and can live for decades, surviving in an environment that would kill most other animals within seconds. The Sloane's viperfish has photophores inside its mouth that glow when the fish opens its jaws, possibly acting as a lure to draw prey directly into its mouth. This fish also has one of the highest muscle-to-body weight ratios of any fish, giving it explosive speed when attacking despite spending most of its time drifting motionlessly. The viperfish's vertebrae are loosely connected, allowing its body to bend in extreme curves that help it strike at prey from almost any angle. These fish can live up to 30 to 40 years, which is surprisingly long for such a small fish that lives in such a harsh environment. Female viperfish release thousands of eggs that float in the open ocean until they hatch, with the larvae looking nothing like adults and living near the surface before eventually descending to the deep ocean. The huge teeth of the viperfish are made of the same material as human teeth, dentin covered with enamel, but they're much thinner and sharper. When the fish closes its mouth, the teeth slide past each other like scissors, creating an inescapable trap for any prey caught between them. Tube worms that live around hydrothermal vents can grow over 8 feet tall and live for over 300 years, making them among the longest-lived animals known. These worms have no mouth, no stomach, and no way to eat, instead relying entirely on bacteria living inside their bodies that convert the toxic chemicals from vent water into usable energy. The worms provide the bacteria with a home and access to chemicals, while the bacteria provide the worms with all their nutrition in a perfect symbiotic relationship. Each tube worm lives inside a white protective tube made of chitin and protein that it secretes, with only its bright red plume extended to absorb oxygen and chemicals from the water. The red color comes from hemoglobin in the plume that's specially adapted to carry both oxygen and hydrogen sulfide, a poisonous chemical that the bacteria need to survive. When disturbed, tube worms can quickly retract their plumes into their protective tubes, emerging again once the danger has passed. These worms grow surprisingly fast considering their longevity, with young worms adding nearly 3 feet of tube length per year when food is abundant. The ghost shark, called the pointy-nosed blue chimera, has eyes that glow emerald green when light hits them, probably due to a reflective layer that helps the fish see better in low light. This species lives at depths up to 8,000 feet and has unusually large pectoral fins that it flaps like wings to glide gracefully through the water. The poisonous spine in front of its dorsal fin is mildly venomous and can deliver a painful sting to anything that grabs the fish from above. Male ghost sharks have retractable clubs on their foreheads and 2 sets of claspers near their pelvic fins that they use during mating, giving them 3 separate organs for reproduction. These fish feed on bottom-dwelling creatures like worms, mollusks, and crustaceans that they find by dragging their sensory-filled snouts through the mud. Ghost sharks produce some of the largest eggs of any fish relative to their body size, with egg cases over 6 inches long that contain a single developing embryo. The egg cases have tendrils that help them attach to rocks or corals, and the embryos develop slowly over many months before hatching as miniature versions of the adults. Crossoda jellyfish are among the most beautiful deep-sea creatures, looking like delicate red or orange flowers drifting through the water with dozens of trailing tentacles. Unlike most jellyfish that pulse to swim, Crossoda jellyfish often remain motionless, their tentacles spread wide to create a living net that captures small crustaceans and other prey. These jellyfish can reverse direction instantly by changing which set of tentacles they use for swimming, allowing them to dodge predators or quickly grab prey. They live at depths between 2,000 and 13,000 feet and are found in oceans worldwide, though they're rarely seen because of their deep habitat and small size. Crossoda jellyfish are bioluminescent and can create waves of light that pulse through their bodies, possibly used to startle predators or communicate with other jellyfish. Some species have tentacles over 6 feet long despite having a bell only a few inches across, giving them an enormous reach for capturing food. These jellyfish have no brain, no heart, and no bones, being little more than a stomach surrounded by tentacles. Yet they're successful predators that have existed in basically the same form for over 500 million years. The umbrella mouth gulper eel can swallow prey larger than itself thanks to its enormous mouth and expandable stomach, which can stretch to accommodate meals that seem impossibly large. This eel's jaw has a unique hinge that allows the mouth to open to more than 100 degrees, creating a massive scoop that funnels prey into its throat. The eel's body is mostly black, with some bioluminescent organs along its length and a glowing lure at the tip of its whip-like tail. Scientists think this tail lure might be used to attract prey, but it could also be used to attract mates, since finding a partner in the vast, dark ocean is incredibly difficult. Umbrella mouth gulper eels live at depths between 3,000 and 8,000 feet and grow up to 2.5 feet long, though most of that length is the thin, ribbon-like tail. These eels have tiny eyes that probably can't see detailed images, but might be able to detect bioluminescence from other deep-sea creatures. Their huge mouths might also work like nets, allowing them to swim forward with their mouths open to scoop up any small crustaceans or fish in their path. Deep-sea hatchetfish have such thin, blade-like bodies that they're almost invisible when viewed head-on, providing excellent camouflage against predators attacking from the front or back. These fish orient themselves so their thin profile faces predators, making them incredibly difficult to see in the dim light of the twilight zone. The photophores on their belly are arranged in species-specific patterns that might help hatchetfish identify members of their own species when looking for mates. These fish have muscles connected to their light organs that allow them to adjust the brightness instantly, keeping their counterillumination perfect as light levels change throughout the day. Hatchetfish only grow to about 2 or 3 inches long, but they're extremely abundant, sometimes gathering in large schools with thousands of individuals. They spend their days at depths around 3,000 feet and rise to around 1,500 feet at night to feed on zooplankton and small crustaceans. Despite their tiny size, hatchetfish are an important food source for larger deep-sea predators like tuna, sharks, and squid that can hunt them during their nightly migration. The sea devil anglerfish is one of the most extreme examples of sexual parasitism, with males permanently fusing to females and becoming little more than sperm-producing organs. When a tiny male sea devil finds a female, he bites into her skin and releases an enzyme that dissolves the tissues of his mouth and her body at the contact point. Over time, their blood vessels connect, and the male loses his eyes, fins, and most of his internal organs, being kept alive entirely by nutrients from the female's bloodstream. The female can have multiple males attached to her body, giving her a ready supply of sperm whenever she needs to reproduce without the difficulty of finding a mate in the vast ocean. Female sea devils can grow over 3 feet long and weigh up to 50 pounds, making them among the largest anglerfish species, while males are only a few inches long before attaching. The females lure glows with bioluminescence and can be moved in various patterns to mimic the swimming motions of small prey. Sea devils live at depths between 3,000 and 13,000 feet and are found in oceans worldwide, though they're rarely seen because of their deep habitat. Rattlefish have a unique swim bladder that's connected to special muscles. They can vibrate to create drumming or rumbling sounds that carry through the water for considerable distances. Scientists have recorded these sounds in the deep ocean, but are still trying to understand what purpose they serve, whether for attracting mates, warning off rivals, or something else entirely. The swim bladder in rattlefish is also unusual because it contains fat instead of gas, which helps the fish maintain buoyancy at great depths where gas-filled bladders would be compressed to uselessness. Rattles have large heads with wide mouths and relatively weak jaws, suited for eating soft-bodied prey like worms and small crustaceans. Their long, tapering tails are extremely flexible and help them sense vibrations in the water, essentially letting them feel when prey or predators are nearby. Some rattle species undertake daily vertical migrations, rising toward the surface at night to feed before returning to the safety of the deep during the day. These fish are sometimes caught as bycatch in commercial deep-sea fishing operations, and some species are marketed as food despite their somewhat unappetizing appearance. Deep-sea cucumbers come in an astounding variety of shapes and colors, from purple sausages to pink footballs to transparent tubes. And they're among the most abundant creatures on the abyssal seafloor. Some species have dozens of tube feet that they use to walk across the mud, while others have reduced their feet to just a few appendages or abandoned them entirely and simply roll along with ocean currents. Many deep-sea cucumbers are deposit feeders that eat mud and extract any organic matter, while others are filter feeders that extend tentacles into the water to catch marine snow. The swimming sea cucumber, a bright red species, has a web-like structure that it uses like a parachute to drift through the water rather than crawling on the bottom. Some deep-sea cucumbers can produce sticky threads that they shoot at predators, tangling up attackers and allowing the cucumber to escape. When extremely stressed, some species can expel their internal organs through their mouth or anus and later regenerate them. A dramatic defense that leaves predators with a meal while the cucumber escapes. These creatures can live at the very deepest parts of the ocean, with some species found in trenches over 30,000 feet deep. The stoplight lucijaw fish can produce red light and see red light, but it has two different light organs that produce different colors. One organ below its eye produces red light that's invisible to most deep-sea creatures, while the other organs on its body produce the more common blue-green bioluminescence. This two-color system gives the lucijaw incredible versatility, allowing it to use red light for secret hunting, while using blue-green light for communication with other lucijaw fish. The fish's eyes have special pigments that allow it to detect red wavelengths that most other deep-sea animals can't see, essentially giving it night vision goggles in a world where everyone else is blind to that color. Lucijaw fish have extremely large teeth relative to their body size, with some teeth being as long as the fish's eye is wide. These teeth are transparent, like those of dragonfish, making them invisible in the water until they pierce into prey. The lower jaw is connected to the skull only by muscles and ligaments, with no bone connecting them, allowing the mouth to open extremely wide and creating less drag when swimming with the mouth open. Brittle stars living in the deep sea can have arms over 2 feet long extending from a central disc, smaller than a quarter, creating creatures that look like living starbursts. These animals use their long, flexible arms to filter feed, catching marine snow and small animals drifting by in the current. Deep-sea brittle stars often gather in huge groups on the seafloor, sometimes with thousands of individuals per square meter, their arms overlapping to create a living carpet. Each arm is covered with small tube feet that pass food particles toward the mouth in the center of the disc, and the animal can continue feeding even if some arms are damaged or lost. Brittle stars can drop their arms when attacked, a defense called autotomy, and will regrow the lost limbs over several months. Some deep-sea species are bioluminescent and can create waves of green light that travel along their arms when disturbed, possibly startling predators or warning other brittle stars of danger. These creatures are ancient animals that have existed for over 500 million years, and fossil brittle stars look remarkably similar to modern species.